What is solo survival? It's one of the toughest ways to play Rust. Clans, zergs, door campers. Every group out there makes life harder for solo players. But going solo is a style of its own, chosen only by the strongest. Perfect shooting floor, HQM bunker from earlier, tons of peaks under the base to deal with door campers, a massive loot room, a refinery right inside the base, and super cost efficient construction. But beyond the obvious advantages there are more, like how simple this base is to build and the flexibility to place it almost anywhere on the map. It includes 8 electric furnaces and 5 small ones, a safe spot for your minicopter and passive protection against offline raids. We're moving on to the room tour stage. Right away, I'll say this base is built using minimal resources. At the entrance, there's an airlock made of 2 solo doors. Inside the airlock, you'll find 2 shotgun traps placed overhead. In the gate area, there is a large discount box and a refinery. The base has 2 entrances, but if you don't need the refinery for some reason, you can simply place a square foundation instead. Behind the garage door, there is a unique climb to the second floor, built using furnaces and drop boxes. It might look a bit awkward, but in practice it's one of the best climbs I've seen. You'll have 2 of these shooting floor modules. In each one you can place electric furnaces, barrels and small boxes. There's also a peak angle to the roof from here. Now let's head to the center of the base. Behind this garage door you'll find a large loot room with space for 5 boxes. There's also room for a workbench and a locker. Behind the solo door is the way down to the first floor, but we'll get to that later. The second module is exactly the same as the one at the entrance. Space for a bed, furnaces, boxes and a roof peak. Now let's head back to the entrance and go out to the roof. The climb to the roof is done through a hatch. Looks too simple maybe, but here it works perfectly and actually increases the raid cost of the base. Plus it creates a neat anti-dip mechanic. Once you're on the roof, you'll be greeted by a super efficient and genuinely convenient shooting setup. Why this one in particular? Because all it takes to build is a roof, a door frame and a square wall frame. And the vision you get from here is insane. There are also peaks under the base and for mid-range angles. Shooting from here is actually really comfortable and pretty safe too. Behind this door you'll find an anti-door camper peak and a fast drop road from the roof. Now let's head down to the first floor. Moving around the base is genuinely convenient. On the first floor you'll have a furnace, a workbench and space for a large battery. There's also the same bunker from earlier, protected by at least 2 walls from the outside of the base. The upkeep for the TC is right in front of you. Our starter base will be made of 1 square and 3 triangles. The 2 outer foundations need to be built at a higher level. On the back side, just close it off with wells. I'll be upgrading everything straight to the final version, which is HQ, but you can use whatever you have, stone or sheet metal will do. Now we're sealing off the starter base and adding a door leading to our bunker. Once that's done, we close off our cube with a half-height wall. This is necessary for the bunker to function properly. You might ask, why are there 2 HQM half walls? The answer is simple: to prevent raiders from soft-siding a single incorrectly rotated wall. If they manage to break it, they'll get direct access to the bunker. Once the starter base is finished, we need to block access to the outer HQM foundation. To do this, we build a jump up and seal it with walls. We'll be using a furnace for climbing and a workbench fits perfectly into this triangle. Super handy, especially if you're tight on space inside the base. Now we need to make our base safer and more comfortable, so we're going to add a few doors. We'll start building the loot room on the lower level, while the jump up to the shooting floor and the shooting floor itself will be above. I hope you won't run into any issues during the build. We place boxes in our loot room and start working on the shooting floor inside the base. Along the edges we install window frames. Don't forget the roof peak, then upgrade everything and add window bars. From the outside the base looks like this. Now let's build the buffer section so we can secure the entrance. On the left and right we'll have triangle shaped metal buffer rooms on raised foundations. As you remember, the jump up into the base is a bit unusual. If you don't have a drop box yet, just use a regular twig roof. To the left and right of the entrance we'll have exits through solo doors. In the front there's space for 2 shop fronts to check for door campers. Above we need to raise half a floor to make room for a discount box, because running back inside after every fight isn't ideal. The wooden foundation in the center will later be used to place a refinery. Now on the second floor we're prepping the exit to the roof and the entrance to the second shooting floor of the base. Once everything is upgraded, place doors wherever needed, including on the roof jump up. As you can see, the base is super easy to build and every stage is well thought out. Now our task is to build a proper entrance and finally increase the number of wells between the outside and our TC. Place the foundations the way I'm doing it. To help you visually, I'll be using colored sheet metal so the buffer sections don't blend in with the main base. Let's now create the main entrance, which means setting up an airlock and a shotgun trap hallway. Place a solo door frame, a full wall, and seal the top with a half wall and a ceiling. Now let's move to the other side of the base. Here we need to build a buffer room, half wall, ceiling, and a full wall. Then we raise another half floor on top. You can use stone for this part. Once again, build with whatever materials you have. I'm using the ones the base is meant to have in its final form. On the side we build the same buffer room, except this time instead of a half wall we use a full wall. In the central section that forms in between, place 2 walls and cover everything with roofs. On the other side we repeat the exact same thing. Now we need to secure our main shooting floor and add some roof peaks. By the way, these hollow sections are great for placing furnaces or barrels, but I don't recommend putting anything except electric furnaces in the side gaps. If you leave them without window bars, enemies will be able to loot your resources, since window frames are used instead of half walls on the sides. Also, if you want to practice building this base, I recommend using the Rust Room build servers. They've got tons of cool features, powerful performance, a friendly builder community, and you can build inside caves, on rocks, and even test your base using MLRs or rocket launchers. I personally build only there and I highly recommend it. See you on Rust Room build. Once the main shooting floor is done, let's add the roof peaks. To do that, place square roofs on top of the wall frames, and from the inside of the base add solo door frames, and of course doors. On top of the peak you can place a small wooden half wall just for style. Do the same thing on the opposite side. Now let's secure our roof. Place a triangle hatch and get ready to build the roof peak, which also doubles as a fast drop and a spot for an anti-heli turret with a wind turbine. Repeat all the steps with me. Everything here should be upgraded to stone except for the ceiling above the turret. That one needs to be sheet metal to prevent it from being soft-sided. Now, a very important note. To avoid problems when placing the wall frame, you'll need to upgrade the roofs to any stone skin or change the build order slightly, or just take a bit of time to find the right angle where the frame snaps into place. Seal everything off with half walls and place the ceiling. Then upgrade everything and install the turret. Repeat the same process on the other side. That's it. Make sure to subscribe and I'm off to build more bases for you.